This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Friday, January 8th. Our top story: as early as this weekend, a handful of the island's leading officials on the front line of the fight against the coronavirus could receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Word of this from Prime Minister Mia Mottley in a national update this evening. She said efforts are underway to expedite access to vaccines, with government already making a down payment of just under $5 million to secure additional vaccinations. Mottley disclosed the doses will go to 4 persons in the first instance.
We have agreed that, and we've had consultation at the higher levels of cabinet, that if those are there, the first person that we would want to offer a vaccination to in this country is Dr. Corey Ford, our lone infection specialist who has done yeoman work and who is on the front line with all of the facilities in the country. Similarly, Mr. Singh, who has been the main person doing the testing and even going on cruise ships and boats and climbing, will be the second. The Minister of Health, I believe, has to be there in order to be able to continue running this exercise as he has been doing for the last 12 months, and we need him to continue to do it. And there's a debate going on, and I've been fighting it. The rest believe that I must take it as Prime Minister, but we are still in deep discussions on that, and we will settle on that. But if I have to, I will, if only also because I know that there are some people who are vaccine skeptics, and we need to let persons know that these vaccines are things that we have been accustomed to from children. Yes, there's always a risk, but the risk invariably is negligible in comparison to the benefits that we gain with respect to it.
Meanwhile, government is ramping up its capacity to tackle the viral illness against the backdrop of a recent spike in COVID-19 cases. Mottley announced that the country will soon receive additional expertise from Cuba and the Pan American Health Organization.
We have requested a number of additional doctors and specialists in particular, 2 communicable disease specialists, 2 respiratory disease specialists, 2 intensive care specialists, 2 anesthesiologists, 1 respiratory therapist, and for the lab, we've also requested 4 lab technicians who speak English to be able to assist us in the lab at the Dos Santos lab. At the same time, Minister Bostic has been in contact with the Pan American Health Organization, who have committed to sending in short order, a virologist who will continue to train persons to be able to ensure that we can provide respite for those who are working exceptionally long hours at the lab. They've been working flat out.
The government is also boosting its communication to the public with the appointment of a new health communications team to be led by Barbados' ambassador to the United Nations, Liz Thompson. It will also include the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, Dr. Linda Williams, and former editor at the Nation newspaper, Tyson Henry. Meanwhile, Mottley also announced that the island could be returning to the alphabet system for shopping and banking. It's also now mandatory to wear masks in public buildings.
I'm now satisfied that the actions that we took, which were reflected in yesterday's directive, to be able to insist that mask wearing inside of public buildings, not homes, public buildings, is now mandatory, as well as we had already provided for it, but we repeated it. Masks must be worn on all forms, in all forms of public transport in this country.
Meanwhile, Health Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic outlined a plan to tackle the backlog in test results. He announced new categories for testing and timelines to facilitate the speedy return of COVID results.
So Category 1 will include medical officers, primary contacts of positive cases, policemen, inmates of Her Majesty's Prison Dodds, soldiers, all medical personnel, border security, immigration officers, customs officers, Barbados Port Inc. officers, patients awaiting tests for medical treatment, patients in elder care facilities, and all of these persons in this category can expect results within 24 hours. I would like to state here that persons who may be considered as secondary contacts emanating from a positive case will become primary contacts if the primary contact from that case then tests positive, and this is very important. Category 2, inbound and outbound visitors, and they can expect results within 24 hours. Category 3, secondary and tertiary contacts, results in 36 to 48 hours. And category 4, those that we consider to be general curiosity, someone who decides that they just want to have a test, those will be back in 48 to 72 hours.
Barbadians are doing all they can to protect themselves from the coronavirus. Some pharmacies are reporting an increase in the purchase of masks, sanitizers, alcohol wipes, and antibacterial soap. In addition, pharmacists say customers have been purchasing vitamin C, D, paracetamols, and echinacea, among other supplements to boost their immune system. Manager and pharmacist in charge at CS Pharmacy, Trident House, Broad Street, Jeff Brown, spoke with our news team.
We have had up in requests for, as you said, masks, alcohol, hand sanitizers. It's gone as far as a heavy request for paracetamol because of the dengue in between there, affecting Barbadians right now. The usual, I wouldn't say it's a panic, but people are more aware of what is going on because we did have a very high spike in our cases, and so there's much discussion among staff and so on, but they're being very cooperative when it comes to the mask and trying as hard as possible to prevent from being infected with this dread virus.
At Collins Pharmacy, manager Bruce Mayhew say they have also been taking steps to protect staff and customers.
I think most of our customers were prepared already. They had their masks, they had their alcohol, their sanitizers. They've been sanitizing before they come into the store. What decision we made was to actually have the amounts of persons going into the pharmacy restricted. So we would have pharmacy and front store access. You can get your medication through the side and you'll be regulated. So you don't have too many people in the store at one time. This is just until we can get over this period and hopefully get back to how we were pretty much, I would say, safe.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In regional developments, 5 days after school reopened for grades 10, 11, and 12 students, a total of 30 from dorm schools have tested positive for COVID-19 in Guyana. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony provided an update on the situation today.
As of today, we have 30 students who have tested positive. We have 11 teachers who came back to teach, and they have tested positive. And we have 13 other staff. In the dorms you have the persons who are cooking and so forth. So we had 13 other staff who've tested positive. So all of these persons are now in isolation, and we'll see how that evolves. There's still some more testing to be done as students come in. We're expecting some of the students from the far-off areas to come to those dorms, and when they come, they'll be tested. So these numbers might go up.
On the international front, the United Kingdom has registered its largest daily COVID-19 death toll since the beginning of the pandemic. A further 1,325 new fatalities were recorded today, bringing the total death toll to 79,833, the highest in Europe. It's the third day in a row that more than 1,000 new deaths have been recorded.
With over 7,000 coronavirus patients in hospital, the National Health Service is on the cusp of being overwhelmed and is running out of beds. Medical centres in London are receiving 800 new COVID patients every day, the equivalent of the entire capacity of a large hospital. Since early December, the number of virus cases in Londoners over the age of 60 has quadrupled. Khan is pushing for even more restrictive measures to slow infections.
I'm calling on the Prime Minister, and I've written to Boris Johnson earlier today, to stop, for example, collective acts of worship in London, which can still occur. I deliberately missed Friday prayers today, but Friday prayers are still taking place at churches, gurdwaras, temples are still open. Also, it's really important that we accelerate the run of the vaccine in those parts of London where the virus is spreading incredibly fast. We also need to make sure that we provide additional financial support to those Londoners who need to self-isolate.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.